Hello, welcome back. Today I'm back at the Riverside Cemetery in Denver, Colorado. We're going to be visiting the grave of Kiku Oyama. She was a Japanese prostitute who was murdered by the Denver Strangler. So I'm going to tell you about her story as we go look for her grave. The Denver Strangler was an unidentified serial killer in Denver, Colorado from 1894 to 1903. He was responsible for killing 3 prostitutes in the span of 10 weeks in 1894 on Market Street. And although many suspects were arrested, nobody was ever convicted. Newspapers named Market Street Strangler's Row and compared the crimes to those of Jack the Ripper, which had occurred in London only a few years earlier in 1888. So the first prostitute that was murdered was Lena Tapper. The second one murdered was Marie Contoso. And then the third one was Kiku Oyama. So Lena Tapper and Marie Contoso are actually both buried here at Riverside Cemetery. And actually only one of them, Marie, actually has a headstone, so the other 2 are actually unmarked. So Kiku Oyama was the 3rd victim of the Denver Strangler. A 24-year-old Japanese immigrant, she first came to the USA through Chicago at the time of the World's Columbian Exposition. There she got acquainted with Emi Oyama, a cook, allegedly starting a relationship with him. Both came to Denver in November of 1893. A few days prior to her murder, police had raided the local prostitution businesses and arrested several of her associates. Kiku, with the help of a French salon keeper, secured their release, but the saloon keeper later demanded a monetary sum as a reward for his efforts. This angered Oyama, who quarreled with him about it. Later, one of the released women said that Kiku made too much talk about the saloon. On the evening of November 13th, 1894, Kiku Oyama was last seen alive. After a short talk with her friends, she returned to her house on Market Street, drew the curtains, and was assumed to have fallen asleep. Her lover, Emi, had gone out for a walk, and after he returned, he found her lying on the bed with a towel around her neck. She was still alive and gasping for air. And despite Emi quickly pulling off the towel, Kiku was on the verge of death. In a panic, Emi ran across the street and called Hana, another Japanese woman, for help. Their behavior attracted the attention of Officer Carberry, who entered the room with them. However, Kiku had already died. There was heavy indication that a heavy struggle had taken place in the room. The bed sheets were disturbed and covered with blood. A second towel, dampened, laid upon the washstand, and the killer had rifled through the room's drawers, most likely looking for money and valuables. Keys for the front and back of the house had also disappeared. She had finger marks near her windpipe, as well as non-lethal bruising on her forehead. So she was most likely thrown on her back upon the bed after the towel had already been tied to her neck. Emi Oyama, along with several Japanese women, were arrested on suspicion, but quickly released due to the lack of evidence. So she is in an unmarked grave here. And I found out from the cemetery she's in block 25, lot 259. And with the help of maps, I think I have pinpointed her exact location, which is right about here where I put some rocks down. And so I saw on the maps she's pretty much catty corner to this 80 grave, and then right in line with this grave you can no longer read, but this one is supposed to be an Edward Wilson according to the maps the cemetery gave me. So she is in the same row as that one, and catty corner to Addie. So I have placed her right there where the rocks are. And yeah, it's just kind of sad that, you know, when I was looking at the maps, most of the other graves around here, like where I'm standing right now, this whole empty section is just all unmarked graves. So there's no headstones in this area very much, you see, but there's actually a whole bunch of burials here. So I think it's very sad, obviously, not to have a marker. Right, I'm sure as like a Japanese immigrant with all of her family in Japan, there probably wasn't enough money or resources to get her a headstone. So it's just very unfortunate. And for all these unmarked graves here around her. So yeah, she experienced a horrible, tragic death. Rest in peace, Kiku. Hope you enjoyed that video and getting to see the unmarked grave of Kiku Oyama. Please like and subscribe for some more videos, and I'll see you at the next grave. Thanks.